Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Noob Cup 2, featuring Age of Empires 3. I'm your host, the Iron Kaiser, and if you're not familiar with the series, welcome, buckle in for something very special. The Noob Cup series is not a tournament for pro players, or streamers, or people with thousands of hours of experience. No, the Noob Cup puts a spotlight on the weaker players. In fact, none of our contestants this season have played more than a single ranked game online. And that is awesome. The whole point of this tournament is to encourage people who have never dared play on the competitive ranked ladder to sign in and give it a shot, because it's a lot of fun. You too can have an absolute blast playing against people at your skill level, no matter what your skill level is. That's the beauty of strategy games, and that's what we're celebrating with the Noob Cup. And speaking of which, we have 11 contestants in this season's Noob Cup. Now, last year's Noob Cup, which featured Age of Empires 2, had 8 contestants, and we jumped right into the quarterfinals. But this week, we have 3 different series that we need to play in order to finalize what our quarterfinals will look like. And here in Game 1, we've got Casper taking on Testificator for a coveted spot in our quarterfinals and the first win of the series. So let's go ahead and dive into this match here. We have Casper in the blue playing as the Ottomans here on the southern side of the map, against Testificator in the orange playing as the Maltese. This is a really interesting matchup. The Ottomans, of course, are a classic civilization. They've been in the game since the original release of Age of Empires 3 many, many moons ago. Although, on the flip side of the coin, the Ottomans were the most recently reworked civilization for the game. They have quite a few new units, unique units and cards and abilities that are pretty neat. The main feature of the Ottomans is that they produce villagers from their town centers automatically. So your eco develops a little bit slower than it otherwise would for other civilizations, but you're not spending any of the resources necessary. And so this makes the Ottomans a very good rush civilization. You, of course, can try to play in a fast fortress sort of way, but a lot of players like to play the Ottomans in an Age 2 rush style. Meanwhile, with the Maltese, they're almost the opposite side of the coin. The Maltese are a very strong defensive civilization. They get, for every card that is sent from their deck, a shipment that is sent from their home city, they get a little bit of extra HP for their units. And several of their key units, the Sentinel being the main one in my mind, receives additional HP whenever they are fighting near one of their own buildings. So that's just spotlighting a few of the main features of these different civilizations. Both players picking up trading posts early in the game. These trading posts will give extra experience over the course of the game so that they can earn cards faster. We see that Casper here putting in a good bit of early exploration, discovering the map, figuring out where his opponent is. Testificator just getting started on that. And one of the things about the Noob Cup 2 that is going to be very exciting is each civilization or each map is set to all maps. So the players have no idea what kind of map they're getting into until they hit play. So it requires a certain level of adaptability that you might not see even in other tournaments. Let's see if we can analyze their... ooh, look at this. We got a barracks coming up for Casper. Looks like he will be playing the Ottoman Rush style. So, looking at Casper's deck here first, a lot of times in a deck you'll see at the very beginning here a villager card. These are Yoruks, which is just the Ottoman settler. So, yeah, these cards are sent. That's pretty typical. I see a lot of resource cards that would often be used to go up to a fast fortress. Although, based on what he's doing here, he's getting up a second barracks and producing Janissaries. So I'm guessing he's probably sent these cards. Oh, he hasn't even picked them up yet. Okay. At this point, let me see. Let me go back here. Yeah, so he sent the resources. I'm surprised he didn't send the Janissaries. If he's going to do a Janissary rush, I'm surprised he's not sending Janissaries. But that's crates of 700 food. Yeah, he's sending resources. He wants to support his economy while getting some kind of push going. Yeah, here we got 8 more Janissaries on the way. Meanwhile, Testificator, he has, well, I was going to say no idea. He does see one of the barracks, so he should know something is coming. If he notices. Looking at his deck, he's also sent settler cards, the Carmelite churches, which are great for trickling in XP. I think if the game goes long, that will be very useful. But he needs to worry about this push that he probably doesn't see coming. He does have an 8 crossbowman card, which will be great. The Janissaries are a heavy infantry, and heavy infantry take bonus damage from light infantry like crossbowmen. So that's a good option. Of course, we construct by the Grandmaster. That would be nice. This appears to be the only... Yeah, this sends longbowmen. That's a good one. So longbowmen are coming in. He will need these longbowmen if he wants to survive this. There's the commandery. Coming up. Here we go. We have 15 Janissaries on the march. Versus 10 longbowmen. Oh no. Oh no, Delhi's coming in. Delhi's are the Ottoman Hussar unit. They are very fast attackers. Not so great in a melee versus melee fight, but you know what? They're going to do an amazing job at wiping up these longbowmen. Oh, that stings. If it had just been the longbowmen versus the Janissaries, I think that Testificator pushes this back. That would have been a great fight. But instead, the order wagon goes down. The Janissaries are free to continue their push. Yeah, there are 8 left. Testificator sending his 8 crossbowmen. And he's going to have to worry about, with the crossbowmen, they're going to have the same problems that the longbowmen did. You have to be able to respond to these Janissaries, to these Delhis. Crossbowmen can handle the Janissaries, but not the Delhis is going to be the problem. And meanwhile, don't forget, while Casper is pushing on Testificator's base, he is continuing to automatically produce villagers at home. That's the beautiful thing about the Ottomans. He doesn't even need to think about queuing up vills, and they're just going to work. Now, if I haven't seen Testificator use his town militia. That would be a good option here to help maybe push back the Delhis. Yeah, he got up a couple of conquistadors from the Jesuit mission, which, yeah, these are light cav. Ranged cavalry are typically good anti-cavalry options, so they would do well. But unfortunately, it was a little late. The crossbowmen are down. Casper has brought in more Janissaries as backup. Looks like he shipped his Janissary card eventually. So, yeah. At this point, it is looking very, very difficult for Testificator here. I don't know that he can come back from this. And this highlights, I think, one of the main differences between Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 3, for those of you that have seen our first Noob Cup. AoE 2 is a longer game. Age of Empires 3 can be decided very quickly, especially if you're not expecting a rush. It is very easy. We're here 9 minutes into the game, and this is over. Any second now, I'm sure Testificator's going to call the GG. These games can be decided at the drop of a hat. Casper, taking game 1. Well done. Let's move on to game 2. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game 2 of our very first series in Noob Cup 2. And my oh my, do we find ourselves on a pretty unique map. This is Archipelago. And you can tell just by looking at the minimap, we have a host of small islands littered with resources and treasures and trade posts. And then an awful lot of blue. This is an ocean map par excellence, filled, teeming with fish and whales, food and gold, treasure and loot. This is going to be a water map. This is going to be a battle on the high seas. And I really love seeing this map in game 2 because this highlights the randomness that the Noob Cup can throw at you and the adaptability that you have to bring as a contestant if you want to succeed in this tournament. Because the tournament is set to all maps available. So, yes, you might have your typical land battle that I think you would see in a lot of other tournaments, but you might also see a pure water map, or you might find a map where you don't start with the town center, and you have nothing but an explorer, and you've got to get resources and build from scratch, or a nomad map where you might have 3 villas and that's it. So, the best thing you can do is be adaptable, build multiple decks, for different kinds of maps, or at the very least, be ready to pick the right default deck for the right situation. So here we see, you have a beginner deck, a land deck, a naval deck, and a tycoon deck. Those are built by default for each civilization. And then you can also build your own custom decks as well, which we see that Casper has done. And here he goes. He's going up to... No, I'm sorry, he's not going up. He's picked his deck. And he's picked his default multiplayer deck, which is interesting. So we have Casper here in the blue playing as the Japanese. He has shipped the Heavenly Kami card, which means that his shrines are cheaper and their resource rates are increased. Now, the Japanese get access to shrines. It's their unique version of the house. It costs a little bit more if I'm not mistaken, but shrines generate resources automatically, especially if they are built near wildlife like deer. So that's going to be a really nice bonus for the Japanese, especially because on a map like this, unless Testificator gets in the water early, those shrines probably aren't going to be pressured. So they'll be in the background, just accruing extra resources for him. He's going to like that a lot. Meanwhile, Testificator in the green, playing as the Italians. This is a fairly new civilization introduced with the Knights of the Mediterranean expansion pack. Fairly straightforward, though. I mean, they follow within the same mold of the vanilla European civilizations. They should be pretty similar. I think maybe their biggest bonus here is the existence of the Architect. The Architect is a special villager. He constructs buildings slowly, but for free. So that's a lot of extra wood that you're saving on houses and mills, just various buildings, right? And that's wood, of course, that you can put into fishing ships and then into a navy to try to battle this out. The Testificator, he has picked Tierra. He's picked his land deck. And just by looking at the name, I know he had options to pick a naval deck, and I think it might have been a mistake to go with the land deck because I think you want to try to pull as many cards as possible that will help you out on the water here. And of course, that's easier said than it's easier said from a bird's eye view spectator perspective. If I turn on what he can see, he sees that he's got these small islands here. Maybe he thinks that there's a big land mass in the middle, but no, this game is going to be decided on the water. So I think the naval option would have been a better choice. But by no means am I saying the game is over, not by a long shot. He's picking up Capitalism, which is a great card on a map like this. For the rest of the game, a small trickle of coin will enrich you. It's a good pickup for the Italians. Oh, something else to keep in mind for the Italians, which would be really helpful for Testificator's economy. Every single time he researches a technology, an extra villager will spawn at his town center. So if he's really on those techs, he could get a really strong eco boom going. Now, one of the things that I find fascinating about this matchup and these two players is their approach to Archipelago is wildly different. Casper does not yet have a dock up. He only has his starting intrepid privateer scout ship, right? So this ship is kind of a hero unit. it's chugging along, and it has carry capacity, so he can put villagers or the explorer in the ship and go and explore the different islands. And so you can see he's got a couple of he's got a couple of shrines on this island here. He's explored this House of Oldenburg native camp. He's explored this one as well, the House of Fanar camp, put a couple of shrines. He's really expanding his shrine economy onto these different islands, right? And otherwise, just moving along. But he's got nothing on the water other than the explorer unit. Over here, he's building his Age 2 Wonder. A little bit behind Testificator here. But he's on his way up to Age 2. Testificator, meanwhile, is really just staying on his home island. He doesn't. He's got his explorer over here, which is good. He has expanded onto this island over here to build a trading post, which is great. That's really going to help his early economy as far as getting more cards out. That'll be really great. And kind of playing a little bit more defensively. Has an outpost up to help defend that trade post. Staying on his main island. And he has a dock. And he's used the dock to get out some fishing ships. And here he is with his first naval unit, the Caravel, coming out. Also researching Blunderbuss and Greatcoat, which I don't think that'll be very useful as far as the techs themselves go. But I love these pickups because that right there means 2 additional villagers. Yeah, and he needs it because right now he is behind fairly significantly as far as his Vil count goes compared to Casper. Let's take a look. Look at these numbers up here. As important as the Vil count is, we can sort of see more clearly what that actually means. Casper's earning 500 food per second, 370 wood per second, 200 gold per second. I'm sorry, per minute, not second. 500, 370, 200. Take a look at Testificator. 220, 80, and 130. So right now, Casper has a pretty sizable eco lead. Testificator's saving grace is that he has an early navy out. Now, Casper has started getting on the water, but for him, it's just all about fishing boats. I think that if Casper were able to ship out, if he were able to get out 1 or 2 more caravels onto the water, and then chug along over here, he could absolutely wreak havoc on Testificator's economy. He does not have a navy to defend right now. That could be huge. You see that he's picking up gill nets, which will mean an additional villager. Right there, yeah, that's beautiful. And I do really like both players taking advantage of the water. That's a lot of food. Yeah, these fishing boats, each fishing boat producing 0.67 food per second. About the same rate as the villagers working on the cherry orchards here. But that's before gill nets. I believe these guys, yeah, it's 0.77 food per second, which is not quite as good as the Bills hunting deer here, but it's not bad. The Venetian arsenal on its way. Hey, ships an early arsenal wagon. Docks and military buildings work faster when an arsenal is nearby. Now that's going to be a great pickup. Let's take a look at our situation here. We do have, both players have access to 2 trade posts on their respective sides of the map. You have, along the sides, 2 different native camps. So we have Fanar and Oldenburg. Let's see, I have Fanar over here. Yeah, here we go. Oldenburg here. Fanar here. Bonuses for infantry. Athos monasteries. That's interesting. That could be cool. The Byzantine legacy. I really like this pickup. Buildings and ships have more hit points. A lovely nod to Age of Empires 2 with the icon there. And also, A very useful technology on this map. That's a suggestion of mine. Greek shipyards. Docks work much faster and can construct an additional battleship. Oh, yeah. Battleship. Let's see battleships. Advice that I give to you guys. If any of you other fellow contestants are watching this first set of the tournament. I've already advised you, be wary of the early Age 2 pressure combat. Age of Empires 3, fights can begin very early on, right? Be aware of course, the different kinds of maps. Have that adaptability online. Don't ignore the importance of trading posts, which, by the way, take a look at this. Casper has moved all the way across the map and has built a trading post on Testificator's side of the map. That's pretty bold right there, you got to admit. And that means, of course, that if Testificator were to pick up this upgrade for the trade posts, Casper's going to benefit from it. It's pretty easy if he takes a couple of caravels, he can just move over, shoot this down. I don't think Casper has anything to stop it yet. Well, I did speak a little soon. Look at this. The Akagi Maru. Atakebune. Slow, powerful ship, resistant to building fire that can train units. Now, one of the things about Noob Cup 2 in particular is you do not just have noob players playing the game, you have a noob commentator casting the game. I am not as familiar, particularly with the AoE3 Navy, as I am with the land battles. But to my knowledge, this type of unit, just based on the description, it's not going to be as good on the water, in a water versus water fight, but it is highly resistant to land defenses and will be very helpful in possibly getting a siege going. That's how I'm reading this card, and I think it'll be very useful if played correctly. But I think the caravels are probably better designed for the water versus water fight, I'm guessing. Let's see here. At the very least, the caravels certainly cost less. 300 wood, 100 gold, versus 300 wood, 300 gold. Now, at this point, I'm a little worried for Testificator here because the one, like I said earlier, the one advantage I think he's really got is he had an early naval lead. But I don't know if he's applying any pressure, and meanwhile, Casper here is on 59 vills. Not a single one idle, and that's not including the shrines going to work and gathering resources from their base. Testificator here, right now, he's on 26 vills. I don't know whether that includes the fishing ships or not. Looks like it does include the fishing ships. 5 fishing ships, 19 settlers, so that's 24 right there, so probably just a handful of vills or something over here. A covered wagon. I really like this idea. Put the covered wagon down. You can collect wood and gold on this map. You need to make a choice at this point if you're Testificator. You either have to expand your economy, or you need to make a Hail Mary play and try to do something on the water and get military pressure on your opponent. Here we go. Naval battle. Good salvo. Good salvo. Yep, yep. I don't... Yeah, just fire. Just fight. He's running a... Okay, come on, come on. Fight, fight. Okay, so... I'm a little surprised. Both players kind of dancing around a little and then pulling away. I think Testificator had that fight. I think the 2 caravels beat the 1 Atakebune. So, I think it was wise for Casper to pull back. But the longer this game goes on, and we're already seeing... What does this say? Tekusin, a heavy warship coming out for the Japanese. Now that's on top of the Atakebune. We have the consulate coming in with, what is this? An expeditionary fleet. Now, I believe that is the Portuguese civilization that the Japanese have allied with their unique building, the consulate. You can pick an ally and get certain technologies and bonuses from that civilization. And the Portuguese, that or is the Spanish. I'll have to go back and take a look. But here we go. We have an ironclad on the field, in the waters, for the Japanese. And at this point, this is going to be tough. Testificator, he's got to win this battle if he wants to stay in the Noob Cup tournament. Warship, putting in good work, knocking out this dock. The docks are going to be a priority here. If you lose all of your docks, it's very hard to get them back up. And if you just cede water control on a map like this, it's game over. Oh, what a great counter response. Testificator pulling out culverins. And culverins are, you typically see them as the anti-artillery artillery. They're not as good as falconets in most situations, but they do a lot of bonus damage against other artillery pieces. And if you take a look at the digits down here, as we watch a naval battle taking place, they do 15 times bonus damage to enemy ships. Casper running away. I think Testificator needs to commit to this. Oh no, no. No, oh no, sure enough, okay. The Akagimaru escapes with 175 HP. That's a shame. This is a shame for Testificator. He's going to pull back and he's going to heal his own units. He's doing a great job of healing up, preserving the units that he's got by sending them near the dock. That part's excellent. He's got out a third caravel now. Good. Great. But we see that, what is this? A Fune. That must be a fishing ship, right? So we see, though, that Casper is now producing more ships. He's also repairing his ships. Both players, I think, wanting to play a little bit more defensively, a little more passively, and then deliver the killing blow. At this point, though, I think it's a tough situation for Testificator. He's got 31 vills. Now 33 vills to Casper's 83. And again, that's not even counting the work that the shrines are doing for the Japanese as well. So I think this is a really, really tough spot for Testificator to be in. I do like that he's got the culverin out on the field. If he's able to use them cleverly, maybe he can get some surprise damage in on the Navy and get some military momentum going. Look at all that food. That's nice. That's great. Get up some extra houses. You know, I'd probably send a... Let's see. Is he using this town center over here? Get this town center going, produce some bills, throw some houses down, start chopping up this wood, expand that eco. You've got to do that. If you need to keep parity with the Japanese if you want to win on this map. Refrigeration coming in. A really nice card. Giving additional food rate production. Does he have a Lombard, I wonder? That's another thing that the Italians are very good at, is they are very good at redistributing their resources through the use of the Lombard. It's the Italian unique building. You can put in 100 of one resource and get out 50 of, you know, like 100. You put in 100 food and you get out 50 gold and 50 wood. And you put in 100 food and, or 100 wood, you get 50 food and 50 gold. And actually, I think you get bonus food if I'm not mistaken correctly. If I'm not mistaken, you get a bonus food because food collects so much faster. So something like that. Anyway, I don't see a Lombard on the field, but that would be a good choice here because right now Italy, you've got 3,000 food, but this is going to be a water battle, and that means, of course, you need a lot of wood and a lot of gold for those ships. Interesting. An extra architect coming in. Casper shipping the Gembukan Dojo. What's that do? Let's find out. The Dojo Rickshaw allowing you to construct a powerful dojo to produce your choice of battle here. A Gallius versus the Tekusin. Here, the Gallius is kind of the European version of the, well, not the Tekusin, but the Atakabune. Yeah, at this point, I think Japan is able to just bully Italy. And look at the map. I mean, at this point, you see how Japan has kind of control of most of the map. Casper has turned his 3 islands here into something of a fortress. It's going to be hard to push in with these 3 culverins running defense. So that's good. But that means all of these resources are left open for Casper to push out. And we see a battle here, or we saw a battle earlier, with a couple of these Tekuisen, the heavy warships, and the Takabune. So we got 3 here. These guys are fighting. Meanwhile, there's a whole second navy. You have a Fune. And what is this? Another Tekuisen and an Ironclad and an Takabune. Another group up here just defending this choke point. Neither player really, I think, taking advantage of the market. If you're not going to use your Lombard, for, you know, speaking to Italy here. Here's a Lombard. Wait a minute. There's a Lombard. Is he using it? Let me see. Deposited coin. Okay, I'm gonna guess that he used the coin from a card here. The Genoese financiers. Yeah, he deposited 1,500 coin into the Lombard from, not from his own bank, but from the card. Then that's slowly trickling in food and wood. Okay, so that's great. But what he needs to be doing, and I see he's doing it now, this is a good play for Testificator, putting food in order to get more wood and more coin so that he can, again, produce more navy. He needs to be able to fight at parity, at least, on the seas in order to win this. Now, at this point, I'm sort of looking at Casper. I think it's... Casper has an advantage, but if he's not careful, he's going to lose it. He's got 85 vills, but Testificator's catching up. Testificator has 41 vills now. And if Casper's not careful, if he just gets lax, if he sits back and, you know, does not push his advantage, Testificator could catch up in eco. And then one good fight, and all of a sudden, he has a lead. Speaking of, the Italians sending in one of the most powerful cards in the game. The Europeans get access to factories. So we have our first factory card, Robber Barons, coming in. That will allow him to throw down a factory and provide a permanent, constant trickle of resources. Ooh. As long as that factory is up. Casper is taking advantage of his map control. There are at least 2 ways that you can win a game of Age of Empires 3. One, which is familiar to all Age of Empires players, is to utterly destroy your enemy. And that's, of course, one of the more fun ways of playing the game. But another way that you can win is by claiming the majority of the trading posts and the native camps on the map. And then in the 3rd age, if I'm not mistaken, it's the 3rd or the 4th. I think it's the 3rd age, but it might be the 4th age. You unlock the ability to research a technology that puts a 5-minute window on the board. And if the Italian player here, if Testificator does not make something happen and destroy these... Ooh, big naval battle here. And Italy sort of forced to... I shouldn't say forced. I think he could have taken that fight, maybe? Let me check something real quick. I do want to see one thing. No, neither... I say neither player. Casper has claimed the House of Fanar, but he has not picked up the Byzantine legacy tech. Oh, or has he? Yes, he has. Yes, he has. He has picked up both of the technologies from Fanar, and that's fantastic. I think that's giving him an edge here that he wouldn't otherwise have. Here we go. Now, having said that, we have the full might of the Italian Navy going up against one wing of the Japanese Navy. Matsumaru has to be going down here, surely. This monitor putting in some work. I'd love to see the Galleus attacking the sea here. We have pikemen on the field. Putting in work against the trading post. Will that be enough? One, two, three. Okay, oh boy. Oh, wait, here's more. A fort wagon moving up. Oh no. Oh, and that fort wagon goes down before it can... Oh no. Here's a... What is this? A frontier post wagon. Which should, I believe, put down a frontier outpost. Yeah, but here we go. The Italians are being pushed back. 2 minutes remain on the clock. And at this point, I think it's safe to say... Even though, yeah, the outpost did go down. So you got to give Testificater that. He accomplished his objective. He got pikemen on the field and claimed... Well, I say claimed. Yeah, I guess he did claim it, didn't he? Frontier post. Puts a trading post down. That's nice. So he is claiming the frontier post, which is great. He destroyed it, but that wasn't enough. Casper still has more control. He's got most of the native camps on the field. 1, 2... let me see. Where's the other one? Yeah, over here. Yeah, so he has 1, 2, and 3 of the native camps, as well as 2 of the outposts. He still has a majority of outposts on the map, and that's just not enough. The one that was knocked down is not enough to overcome that majority. It looks to me like we have our first winner of a Noob Cup tournament set. Nice victory, says Testificater. Well played. My hat is off to you, Testificator. Thank you so much for joining the cup, bringing your best. I don't like this map, I decided. Yeah, I bet. I can almost guarantee this threw both players for a loop. That is the glory and just the destructive confusion that the Noob Cup can bring. It'll throw a curveball at you. But my hat is off to both players. My co-caster, Hiram of Tyre, says all the time, you know, just anybody who is willing to put themselves out there, willing to, you know, contest on the field of battle, you've already won a really significant victory. And so my hat is off to you. Thank you so much for playing. Great job. You had some really cool moves. I loved the use of the Culverin. I think the Lombard was a great choice there, and you're using that well. Good deal. Good deal. But on the other hand, I think we saw from Casper just a little bit more, I don't know whether that's, I'll say experience, or maybe just a little bit stronger use of the different mechanics in the game. In our first match, using the Ottomans very effectively to rush in the Second Age, which is a classic Ottoman strategy, so I know that Casper has been reading up on what you can do with the Ottomans. And the other thing that I'm really, really enjoying on this map here, he was a little bit slow to get onto the water, but not only to get onto the water, and he used his Explorer effectively to spread his vills out and spread his economy, but then using his native camps, specifically the House of Fanar. And I didn't even check Oldenburg. I don't know that Oldenburg has anything particularly worth picking up. This would be nice. Warships trickle some gold. Fishing boats, gather amount of coin. That would have been nice too. So those would be nice. But I think the Fanar technologies were particularly important, and Casper recognized those, saw the opportunity, picked them up, and then just leveraged that into building a strong navy and really just choking Testificator out. I mean, he's just got him blocked into this little island fortress, this Italian fortress here. He's sort of locked in there, and then goes for the outpost win to seal the deal. Great game and a great first series of the Noob Cup. Testificator, thank you so much. Casper, welcome to the quarterfinals. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this first series. If you did, subscribe to the channel. We've got more Noob Cup 2 coming up. Like this video. Leave a comment on how you enjoyed it, what you want to see next. What civs do you want to see in the tournament? For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing off.